Okay, hello. Welcome to the Ars Electronica Center. Welcome to our deep space for the press event, the media event, to announce the prize winners, the prize-winning projects of this year's Prix Ars Electronica. As you might have mentioned, Ars Electronica has become quite a strong and big platform in the recent years for international and European awards, and basically all this attention is of course going back to this very wonderful and great idea of our forefathers, of Hannes Leopold in particular, to start the Prix Ars Electronica in 1987 as an award competition, an international award competition that was specifically focusing on creative artistic achievements in collaboration with technology, with science, with digital technologies, with media art. And this is the really long-standing tradition of Prix Ars Electronica. Since 1987, there is more than 75,000 submissions that have come to this award. It's a huge amount of super exciting projects. When you look at the archive of Prix Ars Electronica, it's really documentary about the development of digital culture, of digital technology, but of course, in particular, of creativity working with technology and sciences. This year, we have again quite a broad range of awards and prizes. We have some European prizes that we are announcing or have announced already in separate events. And today it's really about the Prix Ars Electronica, which means the strong artistic categories of our award competition. New animation art is one of the categories. It goes back to the first year of the Prix Ars Electronica 1987, where computer animation was one of the founding categories. But this year also we have artificial intelligence and live art, a super interesting combination of probably the two most dynamic and interesting scientific topics that have been a big attraction and a big deal for many artists since many years. And you will see there are really exciting and wonderful projects out there. Digital music and sound art is also one of the categories that we are giving away this year again. And of course, U19, Create Your World, a special prize for young creative people here from Austria. In the digital music and sound art category, we have a special prize. Also this year, the Isao Tomita special prize given away for the second time. And also, not second, but already third time, we are very happy to be able to give away the Ars Electronica Award for Digital Humanity, which is a wonderful collaboration with the Austrian Foreign Ministry. Maybe for this year, one more number, just for these categories that I just mentioned, we got 3,176 submissions, 3,176. I mean, this is a wonderful number and this is even more exciting for us, from 98 different countries. So I think the Prix Ars Electronica is really the largest and probably also most influential international activity to really foster this work between art, technology and society, the three cornerstones of Ars Electronica activities since its very beginning. But now, without any further ado, let's go to the wonderful projects. The presentations will be done by several people from our team. And the first one will be Jürgen Hagler, who is also the director of the Ars Electronica Animation Festival and leading and guiding the computer animation category since many, many years. Please, Jürgen, step on the stage to present the winners.
Thank you, Gerfried. Thank you, Gerfried. Also a warm welcome from my side. Yeah, it's really a great pleasure to introduce the first winning projects in the category New Animation Art. This is a new format and, yeah, so to speak, an alignment of the well-known established computer animation category. As Gerfried mentioned, this category is one of the founding categories. So since 1987, this division addresses animation, digital moving images in the context of media art, so to speak. So in this evolution of 36 years, the profile of the category has constantly discussed by the jury members and updated. So at the beginning of this journey, evolution, of course, achievements in this field of computer graphics, animation, and also visual effects was the central point. But during these years, the focus shifts slightly to more artistic, experimental, and also expanded forms in animation. Expanded animation is a topic that we are discussing since 10 years at Ars Electronica Festival. So right now, we are experiencing kind of paradigmatic shift in this field of creating animations, creating images. So when we are facing AR tools, machine learning, of course, but there are also many other advances in scientific visualizations, virtual reality, metaverse, etc., that of course are changing the way how we generate images, how we perceive and understand images. So the new animation art category reflects on this paradigm shift and puts more a focus on this experimentation in this field of or intersections of animation, art technology, but also on the impact on the society. The new animation art call has aroused a great deal of interest in the community, so a total of 1,116 works were submitted, a significant increase compared to the other years. So this is of course a big challenge for the international jury members, very great experts, world-renowned innovator, top influencer, AR expert, Lev Manovic was on jury, as well as curator, researcher and director of Transmediale Berlin, Nora Omurjo, then Pascal Pasqua, professor and media artist in the field of AI art, and Mimi Son, South Korean media artist. She was awarded Award of Distinction a couple of years. She is 50% of the artists duo Kimchi and Chips. And finally, Helen Starr. She is activist, supporter, writer, curator in this expanded field of media art. So the jury was facing numerous numbers of outstanding projects, as well as confronted with this new profile. So a big honor for them to define what is new animation art. And on the next slide, we see the selection of the 12 honorary mention. So it's a broad spectrum from AI-generated animations to research projects, as well as interactive animation installations, game art, and also projects in the so-called metaverse. A critical examination was very important for the jury's selection. So what they actually mentioned is, or questioned is, who is creating the work, what narratives and identities are being represented, and what experiences and perspectives are focused on or marginalized. In the context of new technology, on the focus on power dynamics and social change was also very important, of course, in addition to self-referential experimental examinations. And furthermore, the critical inquiry also covers a diverse representation of narrative, also decolonization of knowledge building. I will only mention 3 projects from this 12 honorary mention. The first one is DSATER, the Institute of Technological Consciousness. This is a project by South African artist Russell Holongwan, Francois Neutz and Amy Wilson. It's a fictional institution and archive that tries to map the historical landscape of technopolitics on the continent. In examining the failure, quote, of large-scale post-independence African techno-industrial project, the spots of failure become sites of experimentation and spaces for future knowledge production. The second honorary mention I would like to mention is Glitch Body by Vienna-based artist Rebecca Merlich. It's a multi-platform project. It's a game art, it's a VR project, a performance, and also an animation. The inclusive project portrays more than 59 protagonists, and it's an inquiry, or it's a research project. It explores forms of feminism, LGBTQ+, drag transformation, and intimate sensitive representation of the protagonists. The last honorary mention is called Plastic by Leon Sanchez. Immerses us in a disturbing reality of plastic pollution. The short film consists of thousands AI generated and hand composed aesthetic images. It's a combination of animals, plants, and plastic, and in short, an underwater dystopia that calls for action. Now we move on to the two awards of distinction. The first project is It's Dangerous to Go Along, Take This by Bassam Issa. This 30-minute animation follows the ambiguous hero undergoing numerous metamorphoses. Bassam Issa addresses the exaggerated masculinity of gaming avatars and the ideological connotation of progress, growth, transformation associated with the game characters. The work reverses the logic, the mechanic of these animated generated worlds and questions their constructed nature. The second award of distinction winner is One Room Bubble by Shanghi Lee. This is a VR experience that addresses the oppressive reality of the life of thousands of young Korean people. Users can explore a skyscraper underwater, and they can explore so-called one-room bubbles. And these one-room bubbles are empty, but they are full with texts and sounds. The artist has conducted interviews with a lot of people exploring the topic, how to live in such a one-room bubble. So now we move to the Golden Nica, the first Golden Nica in the new animation art category, and the Golden Nica goes to Delivery Dancer Sphere by Ah-Young Kim, and we will watch a 2-minute excerpt.
본사로부터 댄서들에게 분배되는 캠에는 앞에 또 뒤에 렌즈가 달려있어 내가 가야 할 길과 내가 지나온 길을 동시에 보여준다. 댄서들은 그 사이에 놓여있다. 길은, 시간은 꼬리를 길게 늘어뜨리며 끝없이 멀어져 가고 또 저 멀리로부터 다가온다. 범지구 위치 결정 시스템이 쏘아보낸 신호, 이 커다란 국제 밖에서 비행해온 신호에 응답하여 끝없이 새로 수놓이고 무한히 생성되는 길을 따라 언제부터 보였어요? 한 2달쯤 됐어요. 2달인가 3달인가. 마지막은 어제였나 그지? 오늘인지 어제였는지 기억이 안 나요. 어쨌든 최근엔 용산에서였어요. 꼭 좁은 인도위로 올라가서 접근해야만 하는 지점이 있어요. 정말 내키지 않는 일인데 안 그러면 너무 멀리 갔다가 돌아와서 그 지점을 통과할 때 일이 일어났어. 쟤는 너무 일상적이어서 놀라지도 않아.
어떤 조건 같은 게 있어 보여요? 본사에서 만드는 규칙하고 상관있을 수도 있잖아요. 규칙상에 이럴 수도 있고.
잘 모르겠어.
그런 일이 있을 때마다 신체적으로는 어떤데요?
Ernst Mo, the protagonist, is an anagram of the word monster, and she's a gig worker in a fictional soul. She works as a delivery person on a motorcycle for the platform Delivery Dancer. The dance master is an AI and guides the gig workers through the maze of this fictional city. The AI calculates, of course, the shortest routes and the optimal allocation of the gig workers. On their journey, Ernst Mo constantly arrives at points and special places where new worlds emerge. With Delivery Dancer Sphere, Ion King tackles the booming gig economy. This 25-minute short is a mixture of 3D animation and live-action shot, and this questions the promise of illusion of urbanity, modernity, and individuality. The film shows a system filled with overstimulation, acceleration, and the constant urge of optimized body, time, and space. Using montage and a mixture of styles, Ion Kim repeatedly interrupts the causality of narrative and space, creating new illusions. It should also be mentioned that Ion King is the first golden Nica in the history of Prix Ars Electronica from South Korea. Now I will hand over to Emiko, and she will introduce the next category.
Thank you, Jürgen. And it's a great pleasure to me to introduce the digital music and sound art category of this year's winners. This category is also the oldest category and has been existent since 1987, when the Prix Ars Electronica has been first launched. Submissions were carefully discussed by the diverse group of jurors. From left side, Remy Friedl is a founder and artistic director of Hypen Hub, a New York-based organization supporting sound artists with using the creative technologies. Tonika Hunter is a curator and cultural producer to bridge conversation and thinking on inclusion and intersectionality. Luca Blumer is the head of Health Lab at ZKM Karlsruhe, and also the professor of composition with digital media. Małgorzata Prisa is the co-director and curator of Unsound Festival, which is in Krakow, Poland, and also the satellite all over the world. Ali Niklan is an AI researcher and artist who has a background of new media competition, computer science, and also the piano performance. And interestingly, more technological aspect, this year the jury focused on evaluating value for the works, which was on the deep sense of humanity. So human resonance is the title of this year's jury statement, and the key criteria emphasized was placed on the multi-layered experience and perception, a fusion of auditory image, of course, and also in combination with visuals and also the social knowledge, which also expand the human being's perception, so expand our knowledge and experience and ability. So let's watch at the honorary mentions of their jury's selections. So the jury had selected the variety of the works, as I mentioned, which change our perceived notions, so with the artistic way, and let us know the new knowledge and experience. Especially the prominent thing is the jury chose artistic journalism works that shows the social and cultural complexities of present based on the ancestral, historical, and cultural viewpoint, such an African viewpoint, Middle Eastern viewpoint, Latin American viewpoint as well. Also, the data sonification. So not the data visualization, but data sonification utilizing interesting and important data, such as environmental data or geographic data, as with the format of compositions and installations. Minimalism is one of the keyword. There is also one project, the sound installation, even human being cannot hear, but feel. Jury also selected the project that combines established artistic instrument and genres such as grand piano or opera, but with the cutting-edge technology such as AI or AR, VR. So let's watch at the awards of 2 distinctions. So here are the 2 award of distinction winners. The first award of distinction goes to Zwischenraum Interspace Acoustic Cartography by German artist Julia Jasmin Rommel. So this is an audiovisual installation and also the composition based on several cartography document. So cartography documents, so what you see here is, for example, this is which shows the element of tunnel and bridge. And this is the cartography map document, but also showing as a score. So there's another variation like counter trains or flight booking data, but these are the forming the parameters in this movement protocols itself. So the piece is performed in the sound dome. So which means allow the audience to hear the sound more than one only single direction, but the sound source is changing and varying the speed, directions. So again, allowing the audience to experience the multi-layered perception of information. The second award of distinction goes to Harmonic Motion by Alba Triana, artist from Colombia. So this is an immersive, vibrational installation. In the center of the installation, there is a symbol, and this symbol is activated by the controlled electronical signals without human touch, and it resonates automatically because of these signals. And this vibration data itself is transferred to the visual image. So this data goes to the custom laser system, and people will see this vibration as well. So this vibration and visualization that people will feel, experience together, and expand our cognitive awareness. And the golden Nica goes to Attractors Studio and Semantica Productions. A Tale of Two Seeds, Sound and Silence in Latin American Andean Plains. Let's watch the video.
A Tale of Two Seeds is a sound study and sonic interrogation around the case of soy monoculture and its accelerated expansion in South American territories. The transformation and loss of Latin American crop ecoacoustic soundscapes is a living testimony to soil degradation and the destruction of all the relationships that make up terrestrial biotic ecosystems. For some time now, soy monocultures have been threatened by the amaranth plant. Such is the hypnotic force that soy has on amaranth that industrialists are devoting a large part of their capital to developing technologies to uncouple and neutralize the spell between these two species. This sound study draws attention to the fact that amaranth, before being classified a parasite, was a plant that occupied a valuable and sacred place in the lives of many indigenous peoples, such as Colombia's Chibchas. Its nutritional value is in fact enormous, being a complete protein with all 9 essential amino acids. Amaranth is an essential grain that circulates outside the predominant agro-industrial matrix. The corporate solution to combat amaranth has been a transgenic war in which an immunological mutation is operated on soy plants in order to diminish the virulent contagion of the indigenous grain. This work uses data capture, recordings, and sonification technologies to make a sound case study of Colombian agricultural soils before, during, and after the advent of soya expansion in the Eastern Plains region of the country, as well as the emergence of amaranth in the current agricultural technology scene. Sound will act as a witness to the development, struggle for nutrients, and overall amalgam of complex relationships between the two plants.
So Attractor or Attractor Studio, they are the Colombian Artist Collective by Juan Cortes, Juan José López, Juan Camilo Cuyonanes, and Alejandro Vigas. Semantica Productions is an artistic duo based in Colombia and UK by Gemma Foster and Camila French. So this piece is based on the artistic long research, as you can imagine, including the historical and ancestral and, of course, cultural background. And what you can hear, so now you could see the polyphonic version, but you hear it's a sound of soil, sound of soil of Latin America, especially Colombia. So what you hear, sound of soil from monoculture soybeans as a genetically modified crop. And the other that you can compare to hear the sound of soil from polyculture provided by amaranth, a grain indigenous to the Americas. It's obvious. If you do not need the scientific knowledge of soil or any musical expertise, it's obvious and immediately people recognize which sound is more rich and fertile. So artists made us to touch with this complex story behind, with this simple experience, with the long research of these examples. So this is the very important piece as an artistic journalism, also the activism that express the current issues about the expansion of colonization of the agriculture industry. And this is happening now. It's not about the past, but it's ongoing global issue. So this sonic representation of Colombian soil highlights the symbolic role of amaranth. This is also important and interesting in the resistance and resilience to contemporary colonialism represented by genetic engineering or privatization of seas and land sovereignty. This is the Golden Nica of digital music and sound art category. Congratulations to Attractor and semantical productions.
Thank you very much, Emiko. It is my pleasure now to come to the next category, the artificial intelligence and live art category. Just in this category, we actually received 765 submissions from 62 countries. I mean, imagine, this is amazing. And you cannot imagine how exciting it is to sit in the jury, to observe the discussions, and to look at all those wonderful projects. It is a treasure box where we get an idea of what the artists have produced in the last 2 years, what topics they are concerned with, and what technologies they use in order to express those topics in forms of artworks. The ones that did a fantastic job, that had the hard decision to, in the end, select the best of the best, the winners of the AI and live art category, was the jury that you see behind me. It is, from left to right, Nora Khan, a writer and journalist, Paolo Cirio, artist and a former Golden Nica winner, Jens Hauser, a curator, scholar and expert in bioart, Kasia Chmielski, physicist and former Digital Humanities Award winner with a wide knowledge of AI and machine learning, and Juri Kripan, founder and director of Kapelica Gallery, looking deep into AI and bioarts. The jury expressed especially that AI is not and cannot be judged separately from politics, aesthetics, and morals. They recognized especially the growing connection between technology, information, and AI manipulation, and especially in relation to the environmental crises. They looked for projects that go beyond being simple objects, but the selected works that we will look into a second later especially reflect the concerns about misuse, about biases, and about control of technology. Also, political factors played a significant role in the jury decision-making process, and they gave a special light into geopolitical and ecological crisis we face. The jury also considered the potential risk that some of the artists that submitted might have been facing, especially politically in volatile situations. They grappled with the differences as well as connections between AI and live art, as it might, from the first moment on, it might be hard to bring those two things together, but looking at the artist project, they've managed very well. And the jury especially looked at projects that raised important questions about surveillance, inclusivity, and ethics. And ultimately, the jury critically evaluated projects and how those works were embedded within their cultural and political context. As we have, of course, not only 3 main winners, we will quickly look into the 12 honorary mentions, as it is very relevant for the jury to give a wide perspective of all the topics that have been submitted in the category. So, Codex Virtualis Genesis. Interspecifics is a group from Mexico, and they, together with an AI system, imagined what a first form of life could look like. The quality sorter by Verena Friedrich is a machine learning system sorting peas according to good and bad, raising questions about decision-making processes. Ecologies of Care by Annie Liu, looking at motherhood and its speculative futures. From Paradigm to Paradigm into Bionic Times by the Indian artist Nadita Kumar, looks at misinformation on the environmental crises in the form of a sound installation. Interspecifics Robot Sex by Miriam Simoun looks at the circuit of technology impacting ecosystems while using technologies again to repair the ecological damage, here with an example on the declination in bee population. Mazakana, a pioneering participatory approach to building African language technologies for Africans by Africans. We'll hear more about this project a bit later. Monsters and Ghosts from the Far North by Lena Gerz-Danau, Andrei Pop-Yuri and Alterna is a game allowing us to explore ecological conflicts in the Arctic region. Perhaps art begins with fireflies by the Japanese artist Neru Akamatsu and Yuichi Oba, fuse artistic practices and biotechnology research into a wonderful exploration of animals and plant life existing 100 million years ago. QTBot, sitting here with you in the future, Lucas La Rochelle from Canada, offers a refreshing example on how AI tools can empower and amplify the narrative of marginalized communities rather than exploiting them. Shadow by Michael Fock and his team is a live performance with an improvising AI as the protagonist. Shift by Geraldine Honauer literally shifts the focus to shift work as a capitalistic strategy and work artists have to do in order to produce their work. Biobot by Zoran Zirdic-Janicic explores the possibility of hybrid co-cybernetic aliveness using living cells and AI systems. So congratulations already to those 12 fantastic honorary mentions, and we move forward to the 2 awards of distinction. Shadows from the Walls of Death by Adam Brown is a long-term artwork and performance that explores the historical, the chemical, and the material impact of a color that is called Paris green. It is actually an arsenic-enriched, highly toxic pigment that in the 19th century, revolutionized the industry as well as the art world, because it has this luminescent shining and longevity of the color. And hundreds of thousands of people, they actually fell ill or died, not just in the production of the pigment, but also because it was used as wallpapers, as colors in a lot of different ways. And Robert Kenzie wrote in 1874 a book that the artist used as inspiration for his performance. In the performance, he was then recreating the pigment, recreating the wallpaper that was used for such a long time, highlighting especially the toxicity, sorry for my English, of that pigment, and that it still is widely used actually or that it has been widely used in paintings that are still on the walls of several museums worldwide. And now it is very urgent that in this recreation process of the paintings, in reworking them and looking at them, that we are aware of what materials art has been using for a very long time. The second award of distinction goes to Oren Katz, Ionat Zor, and Steve Barrick. All are part of Symbiotica, a bioart laboratory in Australia. And the work is called 3SDC, Sunlight, Soil and Shit Decycle. They deal actually with the future of food production. And the starting point is this new belief in that food production can happen completely outside of the actual world, inside without any dirt, any earth, any real elements, so to speak. So sunlight, soil and feces are replaced by artificial light, substrates and fertilizers, and resulting in a food system that somehow tries or seems to have no or less environmental impact. The artists bring this together with a system that they call metabolic fission technologies that spring from the same mindset in which tech corporations develop and propagate their nature-free metaverse fantasies. The work has 4 parts. The first part is a compost incubator that stores muscle cells from mice that have been lab-grown. This is as a fertilizer that is then used in an alkaline hydrolysis system to turn the tissue into fertilizer that then feeds again the plants in a hydroponic system, a system without earth. Those plants that are then cultivated are again used in the circle in a compost incubator to grow really again the compost for next circle of plants. So the actual output of the project is not It's not a plant, it's not food, it is just data that you can see in a control room via a multitude of sensors as part of the process, and they generate large amount of data which is actually not really usable. It's useless data in the end. So congratulations to those two fantastic awards of distinctions. And drum rolls, we move on to the Golden Nica. Winnie Soon, an artist from Hong Kong, receives the Golden Nica for her series Unraisable Character series. Winnie Soon examines how regimes use digital infrastructure to exercise censorship. The focus is here in this work on Weibo, one of the largest social media platforms in China. The central tool is called Weiboscope and has been developed by the Hong Kong University. And the tool examines the timelines of microbloggers in China and detects tweets that have been censored by the regime. The results of this scan are then visible in 3 parts of this project. Part 1 focuses on more than 54,000 tweets that have been censored between June 2021 and June 2022. And they analyzed this with a machine learning system and then transformed this in the book that you can see here on the screen, which contains more than 6,000 pages. Part 2 is actually a living archive that receives input from the daily censored tweets throughout Weibo. And each tweet is visualized in a flashing character grid. And the amount the tweet is visible depends on how long it was visible on Weibo. Part 3, again, looks at specifically the time of COVID. So between December 2019 and the day COVID was publicly announced, 27th of February 2020. They looked in all the tweets that happened in between that time when it was still unclear of what that disease is. And all those tweets have been censored immediately after the public announcement of COVID. And they are now part of a web-based platform. And even though they are not readable anymore, you only see the punctuation, emojis, and special characters. It is important to the artist that her work is one possibility looking at Weibo of looking deeper into how countries or structures censor people and finding a way of making unheard voices visible again or audible again. And the artist emphasizes that that tool can also be used in other cases, whether we look at censorship from social media platforms around the world, from countries or other contexts. So congratulations to Winnie Soon and her team for this incredible and very timely and important project. And with this, I will hand over to Marion Friedl, who is the producer of the U19 category.
Thank you, Christl. I have to find my point there. The U19 Create Your World category received this year 323 projects from all over Austria. Since we ask children and young people about their topics, we deliberately stay open or let them decide for themselves in which materials or with which tools they want to express themselves. The result, we receive a variety of different analog and digital projects. In order to do justice to this, we naturally need a diverse group with a broad range of expertise as possible to examine these projects for creativity, independence, and the spark of Create Your World. And then, of course, to compare them together and discuss them respectfully. We have invited 5 people whose detailed biographies you can read on our website. We have provided them for you. But here you see on the picture from the left side to the right, Lisa Ackerl with the area of competent expertise, architecture, urban development, as well as ecology, and technology in public space. Sirikit Aman as jury chairwoman, who counts topics such as education and society in art and culture among her areas of expertise. Remo Rauscher, who sees himself as a digital stuntman in theater, animation and media pedagogy. And Connie Lee, known for an Austrian bilingual radio channel for young audiences, where she covers news, pop and youth culture, gaming and graphic novels. Karl Markovic, known here in Austria from various productions as an actor and as a director for film, theater, radio and television. The U19 category is divided into two age groups, in the young professionals from 14 to 9-year-olds and to the 0 to 14-year-olds, the young creatives. The young creatives, there we look for playful approaches to old and new technologies in the children's projects, as well as in the creations that come out of them. So in the case of the U10 category, Leopold Kastler has symbolized this with experiments around generating electricity through or by movement, in German Strom erzeugen durch Bewegung. In this project, you can see a device as a body extension that makes, with the help of a small generator, the small LED light on it to glow by movement. For this, Leopold was awarded with the U10 main prize. In the U12 category, Maximilian Possetz, whose tinkering with the discarded everyday objects led to a real-life or life-size R2-D2 service robot, which you might know. He had long dreamed of that to accomplish this. Picture this sort of power in their imagination in these young minds when they can, as in this case, look at the old unused trash can and see in it, in combining it with an old unused crane robot, see in it their hero, and then it comes from fiction to real life. For this, the project receives the U12 main award. The U14 prize goes to Fabian Kranzl. In his case, the lack of a role model for his classmates led him to publish a provocative YouTube video during the election of the class president. In this rhymed hip-hop lines, he points out the effectiveness of one's action and the responsibility it entails for representatives of a certain interest group, in this case his classmates and the class president. A lot of insider knowledge is needed to understand the double meaning or the ambiguous expressions so that it can reach the people, the right people, and it does. Here for you, Fabian, just for you and all the German teachers out there, this speech text has 89 words. And for your project, you get the U14 prize. We are moving on to the young professionals, whom we like to think of as a mirror for the topics within U19 or our next generation. The messages alone, which are in there, when you read through the titles, you can feel here in this list of the honorary mentions that they are again, as usual, sharp and powerful. In a funny way, for example, when we need to wait in the project Pippi, the next P drop of a wonder machine, or when we are presented with a at first seemingly satirical speech, which turns out to be a real statement and an example of greenwashing, or simply by solving tricky riddles in a game where we are on our own by trying to escape our isolation on a space station. When a graphic novel called Sin the Sight becomes a parabola or that appeals to our responsibility to check news first before spreading it. When the project Pictrees can intertwine social media and the public space, drawing attention to the urban greening. Or you can also see in the statement from the jury an observation they found out among the submissions. They found a fair amount of anger and also portrayed a lot of courage. So how anger is dealt with in this generation at U19 and where their courage leads them. Some also formulate these feelings and reproaches quite directly, like the 4 young women who tell of their own experiences of sexual assault in the film Hue, or like the makers of Mejidat Soes, who shout out their anger while someone gives them a pointless speech. So I jumped already with the last project to the Young Professionals Award of Distinction, where on the right side you can see the project Medida Soes, which is from Portuguese and means something like reflecting on oneself or mediation. It's from Linda Michelic, Konstantin Redl, and Emma Gruber. It's a short film in which the young filmmakers portray themselves, or rather the emotion of their generation. The images that are shown are about anger as a reaction to absurd calming techniques. You can see in the bathwater a breathtaking but silent scream. You can see they're obviously exhausting themselves with a sports gadget. You can see a fish which is decaying by fire, or you can see someone giving out hits, but those land on its own face, running towards freedom, but with bound hands. This is how they present themselves in the picture, while one has to listen to a voice that preaches seemingly inspiring words in a monotonously up and down. In one word, it's absurd. So there it builds up this, and also in us as a viewer, this rage, and that can also be seen as an energy for taking actions. The second award of distinctions goes to Gan Eden, from Anatol Granditz and Thomas Perkowitz. In this open world game, you can land in the middle, you land in the middle of the ruins of a decaying civilization. With the controller in your hands, you move through the post-apocalyptical desert landscape, and you are attracted by the individual artifacts and go seemingly very randomly around, but yet purposefully or aim-directed. Gan Eden is a biblical term for Paradise Garden, and also the prophecy. In the beginning, there's a prophecy inserted, which is called, "For you are dust, and to dust you shall return." In the background, in the sound of the game, it's dominated by emptiness and sounds of emptiness, and as well as white light and shadow together, they wrap the world in an end-time atmosphere. Equipped with the biblical clues I just mentioned, this makes you think about the question of general meaning of life, and that is about existing itself. It gives no answer, of course, but it symbolizes or it channels the question of the future of mankind, or even the fear of a future in a very poetic way. So the golden Nica goes to Sonja Höglinger with verblassende Stimmen, fading voices. Can you remember the voice of a person you haven't seen for a very long time or haven't heard for a very long time? Many of us here would probably be able to describe smells or looks, but is it the same with the sound or with the timbre of a voice? Is it possible to remember a voice in such a way that it triggers a feeling in you? If so, what helps you with it to remember that? Sonja was concerned with this fact, or she was dealing with that. She devoted herself and her work to look into the decaying or in the transience of such memories and how one can hold on to them, and for oneself, for now, or also for the future as well. She says that there are many different types of memories. Some are easy to remember, to recall, while others fade away over time. So Sonja looked at different ways to keep them alive. She found that if you think of a phrase of a person spoken very often, it is possible also to recall their voice, the tone, the sound, the vibration, and what it had triggered. When she tried to activate the voice of her own deceased father, she first thought of some of his typical statements, and was actually able to reconstruct the rhythm and the tone from the sound and the feeling for herself. Because she could no longer make a record of her father since his illness had attacked his speech center a long time ago, she spoke the words herself, and so she had the audio track in the end of a typical phrase of her father's words known only to her. You can see on the screen the track there, the audio track. It's sewed on a 280 centimeters big fabric, so it's huge, and it works as a memory aid. You see here the length, the rhythm, the dynamics, and they're worked into the textile with a zigzag stitch. Now she repeats the phrase in her head. She keeps it active so that she can remember the sound of his voice again. This project, Verblassende Stimmen, or Fading Voices in translation, is intended only for Sonja as a real memory support, but for us as a message, it can work for us, for a viewer who is standing in front of it, as a trigger for thoughts, or it stimulates your own memories maybe, and it gives you the offer for a method to bring to being able to keep for you personally a voice alive also in the future. So congratulations to all of the U19 winners, and I give over to my colleague Emiko Ogawa.
Thank you, Marion. So we introduced the 4 categories of the Prix Ars Electronica winners of this year. And now we shift forward to the special prizes. And I would like to introduce this year's Isao Tomita Special Prize. This prize, in parallel in the digital music and sound art category, this Isao Tomita Special Prize is awarded. This time as a second time. The first one was 2021. And next will be 2025 for these 3 times. Isao Tomita is a Japanese composer and musician. And he is well known as a pioneer of his composition with synthesizer, but also in 1984, in the Ars Electronica Festival in Linz, he caused the spectacular works and caused the sensation with the work, the universe, with the part of the Linzer Klangwolke, and this is a fantastic outdoor concert by the Danube River. To commemorate his spirit and Isao Tomita, he himself, Isao Tomita Information Hub and Prix Ars Electronica are jointly offering this special prize. In this year, for the second time, the winner of the Isao Tomita Special Prize goes to Robin Fox with his work Triptych, the audiovisual space-time carving. Robin Fox is an Australian audiovisual artist and composer, and he pushed the boundaries of traditional audiovisual art, challenging preconceived notion of live performance. Normally, artists create the visuals and music separately, but what he created is a custom-built hardware that split the voltage that creates the image into an audio domain, which means this allows this change of this voltage that creates the image directly into the sound. So this experimental music is directly synchronized with the visual and other way around. So in this point of view, this creates the mechanical synesthesia between electronic music and audio visuals. Moving back forth and between noise, Triptych can never be packed in the very well way, or nobody can make nice documentation. To feel this full brilliance and excellence, you have to be there. You have to be there on site and experience the performance. Congratulations to Robin Fox. Video, it's coming.
Thank you, Emiko. We see? No, we are going on, yeah. Thank you, Emiko. Thank you to all of you for presenting this really exciting list of wonderful projects. I mean, one of the really amazing things by doing the Prix Ars Electronica is to have this chance to look at thousands of submissions from all over this world, and you see with the selections that are done by our wonderful jury members, thanks to them as well for the really hard work he took. You see that this is really worth doing it. There is such a broad range of activities, and seeing the international dimension is just another very important part. And this brings me to the last prize-winning project that we have to announce today, and this is Masakane, the project that gets the Digital Humanity Prize, a new award. New, well, it's the 3rd time, but for the history of Ars Electronica, it's still very new. A special award for projects that are really dealing with, I would say, the most pressing issues of our time, that are looking into the social dimension, that are looking into ways how to strengthen and foster, of course, also something like cultural diplomacy. I mentioned it, it's a collaboration with the Austrian Foreign Ministry. Actually, it was their initiative to approach us and think with us together about the possibility to also utilize this huge network of Prix Ars Electronica to foster the cultural activities of our foreign ministry. We had the Brunch magazine in the first year, we had the Data Nutrition Project last year. You see there is this wonderful thing that sustainable technology for our digital world, and of course the whole big issue of digital humanity, digital humanism in the development of artificial intelligence. And this is, of course, the very big thing of this year's prize-winning project. We are really super excited because it will be also a wonderful contribution to all these activities in the festival this year. And Masakane is a grassroots organization whose mission is to strengthen and spur the natural language processing research in African languages for Africans by Africans. I mean, we all know at the moment this is top-notch discussions, all these large language models. And here in Austria, we're excited that we can talk even in German with GPT. But of course, when we think that Africa alone has 2,000 different languages, then I think we immediately get an idea how far away the focus of the Western research and development of AI is to the cultures and to the life and the living realities of people in Africa. And this is the very strong part of this project. It's more than 1,000 people from 30 different countries in Africa, plus also some other international countries and researchers are joining. They are collecting information, they are supporting the development, they are creating awareness of this problem. And I think if we have any chance to really strive for an AI that is really able to cover the global dimension, the different cultures, the cultural diversities on our planet, then it's because of initiatives like this. And I think also here in Europe, we can really learn a lot from this very grassroots and very transparent approach to developing artificial intelligence. So congratulations to this wonderful project and the wonderful community. And this brings me to the last point, to announce the activities during the festival. You know, September 6th, the festival will start for another 5 exciting days, again in the infamous Post City area, about 100,000 square meters of this old abandoned industrial building complex will be occupied by Ars Electronica. We will have concerts, we will have the artist talk, so the prize winners will come to the pre-forum and present their own projects. The audience can really jump into dialogue with them. And of course, we will have the big Prix Ars Electronica exhibition, this time in the area of the Post City. And I think we have spent a lot of time, but we have wonderful project that we had to present. Now, if you have some questions, please stay with us. We are again changing the channels so that you can join us here for Q&A or whatever you are interested in. Ask us about the Prix Ars Electronica. So please stay with us for a moment. And maybe you join me already here, so when the questions come, yeah, it's a group effort.